Kick us off, please.
I'm going to kick off. Welcome to everybody. My goodness, what a week. This is our 15th, Graham, this week.
Yes, I think it is. Yes.
15. We've done 15. We've been everywhere. We've meandered from the biotech entrepreneur's mindset to various interesting ideas about investors, to running the XY Factor, which was an absolute blast. It's been the most popular product in the life science world at the moment is the Biotech XY Factor. And this has been, we had 7 innovation companies present yesterday in an interview style, which, I mean, although I did the interview, so I must enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot more than normal pitch presentations because I could get underneath the veil. I could find out really what's going on. So we did 7 and they were fantastic. We went from quantum computing to having an app that measures basically where the area under the curve of whether your blood concentration is right for your drug in polypharmacy. We had, who else did we have, Graham? We had so many, I can't even remember who they were. It was
absolutely. I mean, the standard was so high. I quite like the manufacturing one as well that got rid of viruses. That was
that was manufacturing in the process, and it was absolutely a blast. And we were lucky enough to have MSD in the room. And the day before we had MRL Ventures, which is the venture arm of MSD, based in Boston, in the room, and they both were fantastic. And they, you know, to give exposure to innovation companies to this forum and to those 3, I think was a joy, because normally you don't get that. I mean, I've been in Bio Europe many times where I've presented early in the morning and there's only been me and George in the room. And I've never had the energy to really present it, but it was absolutely a blast. And I think that we're going to do more of this. We're going to move through to the best of the best, which is going to be later in the year, and we're going to be running these competition throughout the year. So I think that was a blast, and really, really delighted to do it. And tonight at 6 o'clock, we've got Kateray, who's the new head of European MSD Scouting, who's going to be coming and awarding the prize, which we're not sure what the prize is.
It's in the final, isn't it? You get a place in the final. That's certainly a prize.
Yeah, Graham's in charge. It could be a bag of crisps. Who knows? But it's and
a beer with me as well when we're allowed.
But it's been fantastic. And then we've met a load of fantastic people. And today is another example of a fantastic person. And, you know, Coffee Buddies' goal is to entertain, engage and inform. And, you know, we want to meet interesting people. And today we've got my dear friend Nathalie, who's our interesting person. And we saw her last night. It's always a pleasure to hear from her. And Nathalie is a people person. And, you know, Nathalie always tells me that, Tony, you've got to really understand people. And I think what we're all about in listening to Nathalie is listening to her opinions about people. And I'll let her introduce herself to all of you, because not all of you know her. But where are you, Nathalie? Lovely to see you. Where are you? Who are you? And what do you do?
Oh, take yourself off mute, Nathalie. The classic 9 o'clock start. That's it.
Right.
That's it. That's perfect.
Good morning, everyone. I can see that some people were there last night, so it's a little bit, I feel a little bit shy to sort of reintroduce myself to them, because Tony's done it already. So yes, I run VirdisGroup, and we are an executive search, but I think with a twist. First of all, completely dedicated to life science. We work worldwide, but also because my background is actually as an IP lawyer, I've always sort of considered that it was important that for talent to be borderless and for functions to actually mingle with each other, because as you know, they evolve, the needs are different from one company to the next, and and they are evolving over time. So We also do a lot of organizational consultancy for biotechs, for startups, including, you know, putting people in contact between investors and the needs of young biotechs. So that's us in a nutshell. And I don't know what Tony wants to talk about, but
well, I always want to talk about lots of these. So, I mean, tell us firstly about, you know, the recruitment and as a world, Nathalie. You know, you use the word executive search, you use the word consultancy. I mean, where's the executive search recruitment world moving to? Where's the future?
It's well, you know, probably the main competitor today is not another firm or another way of doing things. It's essentially the online portals. You know, people put their CVs online and hoping for the best. And you've got a lot of things happening online. So clearly, it's here to stay. Clearly, we need to all use it. I mean, it's like if you were ignoring the use of a bicycle, you know, everyone knows how to get on a bicycle. Everyone knows how to swim. So it's the same for us. We use the same. We use also those online platform and systems and so on. But at the end of the day, you know, what I see more and more, it's like people are disgruntled a little bit with those systems because they don't have the care, they don't have the attention, they feel like numbers, they feel like not important. And, you know, the special touch, the special care, the listening, the advising, the caring, are extremely important. So do I feel threatened? Not really. Do I see it happening? Yes, but I see also the other, you know, it was the next best thing since sliced bread about 10 years ago. And now I can see that actually people are not so happy with it. It doesn't give the results that they were expecting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, I've just been on Clubhouse, this thing that you can, it's basically a live streaming of conversations, and it's the way that people now self-project. So, you know, people are looking for fame, that, you know, in a way you can publicly declare who you are now. And are people getting jobs by throwing out their personas on Instagram and things? Is that how it's working now? Is that a way people do it, Nathalie?
In life science, at the level and the kind of roles we work, and I'm not saying necessarily the level in terms of seniority and the C-suite or stuff like that. I'm talking about one's career, one's caring for their career. I don't see anyone posting anything on Instagram.
So now, tell me more about the C-suites, because I do see a lot of people projecting themselves out on LinkedIn. So, I mean, in fact, I see it probably every 5
well, LinkedIn is like the bicycle. I mean, you know, you're not going to ignore LinkedIn or any, I mean, you know, in the early days you had Monster or something like that. I mean, you know, it's nothing new. And that's fine. You're not going, as I said, you're not going to ignore the tool. You're not going to ignore the vehicle.
So tell me.
It doesn't mean that you're going to get something into the right person in the right position, in the right company at the right time. So it's just saying that you are out there, and you are just saying in the simplest way possible, because if you are used to LinkedIn, you see that actually there is a pattern, people presenting themselves the same way over, so that the historical follow sort of curses, and then the job title, but there's not much more there. you know, and who they are friendly with and which society they belong to. You know, with a bit of luck, you know which university they come from, if they've been to a university. You know, it's pretty sparse.
Yeah. And so tell us more, but you used that term yesterday, the right person at the right time. I'm interested in that. Maybe you could tell the people more what you mean by that.
Well, because I think there is not good people and bad people. And it's more being, you know, answering needs that a company or a group or a team has at a certain point. And if you are the right, if you are the one fitting in that plug at that time, you're going to be fantastic. If you are not, then it's not the right plug.
But people are people buying? I mean, it used to be you know, I can remember when I would have to get an oncology expert in because in their head would be all the literature, whereas now I can PubMed it, I can gather stuff in 5 minutes. Actually, I can get an overview of something and become super intelligent on it in 5 minutes, whereas before I had to buy knowledge. I mean, are people still buying knowledge, or are people buying people who are action orientated, or are people buying people who are facilitators? What are people
interested in? It's a very good question, because you're absolutely right. I mean, the knowledge, you can always acquire it. You can always find it. But it's not so much the knowledge, but the ability to think, the ability to have a proper reasoning, the ability to give perspective, the ability to give vision. And that's something which comes with experience, or with actually reading, with actually training, with actually focusing on what one like. It can be oncology or statistics, whatever. But, you know, if you dedicate yourself to something, of course you're going to bring knowledge, but you are also likely to bring a perspective, a reflection, and maturity. Because you put the effort into it.
I mean, and if you were guiding me, say I got a CV, and I said to you,
sorry, what did you say?
Say I got a CV, Nathalie, and I said to you, Nathalie, what should I look for? How do I go about, you know, I ask you to go and do me something, you turn up with CVs, you turn up with people, and I ask you, guide me, Nathalie, what I should be looking for. What would you say I should be looking for?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, CVs and people are not the same. CVs are the tip of the iceberg of people. And of course, first of all, I need to know exactly what you want. And often you're going to express the immediate need, but you're not always going to tell me the whole picture. So it's going to take time for me to find out and listening to find out what you actually really mean, beyond the technical skills.
Yeah. And
right?
that's a very interesting question, isn't it? Because I mean, that's this this idea of joining a family and understanding what my, you know, what do I really want, and me articulating it clearly, because it's very hard to often articulate what I want.
Exactly, it's very difficult to articulate what you want. You don't necessarily always know precisely what you want. There are layers of information there. What you don't say is almost as important of what you say. And most people know what they don't want, not necessarily what they want.
And are people skilled at this? I mean, because again, if you're trained as a pathologist and you then enter a company and you know, I could have stayed as a pathologist all my leadership time, or I could have become interested in the psychological behavior of organizations. Are leaders attuned to this sort of stuff, or are they, do you find that they don't really know all about all this stuff?
You know, again, I mean, it's a conversation we started yesterday. You've got leaders and you've got managers. A manager has got KPIs, he's got tasks to achieve, he's got a team to run, he's answerable to a number of goals. Is he going to take the time to understand the psychology behind people? Yes, maybe, but it's not a given. On the other hand, a leader, if he wants a team who is going to buy into the vision and lift a company, especially a biotech, a startup, they need to understand their people. Otherwise, they lose them. People will come to them just for a bit of training and then go.
Yeah, we heard of this from our friend, I think it was Evan from, I think it was Catalan yesterday, or I can't quite remember the name of the company, but he was saying that, you know, people are wandering around the campus now with their headphones on. The work environment is a very different work environment. And he was saying that if they don't get what they want, they're just going to move on. And I'm very interested in that, because I think that, and we also heard, I think it was you who said, Nathalie, yesterday, that is it, the guy at Novartis has, there's no management now. Maybe you could, you know, that you don't have a soup. I mean, I find that extraordinary. I mean, that people don't have a manager, but I mean, maybe you could tell me more about that.
Well, I don't really know much about it, but I mean, being in contact with a lot of people at Novartis, apparently no one is a boss and no one has a boss, and everyone has to be one's boss. So, you know, fine. Whether it's unleashing capabilities, innovation, initiative, essentially, that's the thing. I don't know. Because you need to be benchmarked against some achievements that you are supposed to perform. So, and who is going to tell you whether you achieved or not, you know, and whether you can see it or not, and how you benchmark yourself against your peers, your friends, your colleagues, and what about teamwork? You know, if nobody is boss of anybody, who is taking the lead in a project? And we all know that in a project to be driven, you need to work as a team, but someone has to make a decision.
I mean,
right?
It's a very different world. Now I'm going to open it up to the group now.
But to be honest, you know, coming back to the youngsters, I mean, all of us actually, not just the youngsters, running around with their ears on their phone, and you know, if they're not happy, they go. Clearly, you know, the younger generations, they articulate much more clearly what they are prepared to do and what they are not prepared to do.
Yeah.
And you see it, for instance, in relocation. And now with the pandemic, it's absolutely blaring. No one will relocate until it's absolutely necessary. And so remote work is here to stay. And because people are not going to take, you know, families and kids and go from, and you know that very well, Tony, from Welling Garden to Basel, just because Novartis or Roche said that. But you know, they're going to say, no, I can actually stay in Welling Garden City, keep my family rooted there, and I will come 2 days a week, or we come a week.
I mean, this is very interesting, Nathalie, because I think this is the magnet that allowed people to jump and to go to, you know, my case, I never went to Basel. I commuted madly. I commuted because I wanted to keep my kids near their grandparents, which was important to me, Nathalie. And, you know, that was really important to me. So, but the magnet that would have taken me on the other side was when people said, but we'll relocate you and there'll be all these benefits and that you'll get into, you know, fantastic schools and you'll be an international piece. Is that magnet not quite as magnetized as it was?
We definitely see a shift. Definitely.
Is that because people aren't putting the money into it, or they're not actually, again, when I was younger, there was a sort of, you would go to Japan and then that would be a stepping stone to something higher. I mean, that's not so now, is it? Or is it?
I mean, it will be more a personal choice. You know, if people want to go to Japan because as an experience, as a family experience, but it will be very difficult for a company to make it compulsory. Very
interesting. I'm going to bring this.
I see it right now and some companies say, oh, we're going to go back, you know, everyone wants to go back to the office. We're going to go back to what it was before. And I want to say, well, you know, before, what is before? Because actually the trend was already there. It's just been confirmed by an unexpected event, but it was already there.
This is a very interesting thing. I'm going to open it up to the group. Nathalie, that was super fab. You and I could talk for hours, and we do talk for hours, and we need to keep talking for hours. But let's bring the others in. And I'd be interested just, Philippa, I mean, can I just bring you in? Because Philippa introduced herself as wandering around the ecosystem. And maybe there's questions you've got for Nathalie or comments.
Well, yes. So Nathalie mentioned that the recruiting agencies are brought in by the managers, and you need to find a match. But what from the other side? Because you have all this pile of CVs of people, and you have to find a good match just by written paper, right? Which is a bit, as you said, doesn't really represent the person. And what I've experienced so far is that most of the time the recruiter is super keen on having me as like an option to present to the company, and then they just disappear. So this personal experience has both ways, right, to the manager and to the applicant. And it seems that because the applicant is not so important, because there's a lot of them, basically, they are just completely excluded from the process at some point. Do you have any comments?
But it is a very good comment. I mean, I actually don't do that, but I don't. But I know it's common practice. And in fact, what's happening is actually you are approached because your CV goes into their database. So you are feeding their database. It doesn't mean that they have a job to start with. It might be a fake job. And secondly, you're young, so you are disposable. I'm sorry to say that. So, well, you are perceived like that. And it's terrible, but it is the reality. And therefore, you know, they need to have plenty of CV and throw CVs at the wall, at clients which are not really clients, they are not necessarily engaged. And if one sticks, that's enough. Okay, so it's not about you, it's not about who you are. They are not interested in who you are. So you have to get out of that system because it's not rewarding. It's not fulfilling. It doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't help you create a network, which you actually need when you start your career.
Okay, thank you very much for the advice.
And you're welcome to Coffee Buddies anytime. So we have a
we
big
will
selection of people.
We'll introduce you to people. So who else has got?
Gordon's got some questions.
Yeah, Gordon.
So it was just really a comment, and I think Thomas had something to add as well. We were told years ago that leaders do the right thing and managers do things right. So you can either be one or the other, I think, or is it just semantics? Because I'd say myself as a leader, that means I couldn't be in a management role. So I don't know. It's just
Well, I mean, Gordon, we've all seen managers doing things right and getting over the cliff, right? And you can't say they haven't done anything wrong. They've done the right thing, but they haven't. There was no reflection. There was no perspective. There was no vision, and everyone went over the cliff. You see departments like that disappear in companies, because when suddenly the leaders realize, oh, that department is they sort of voted themselves out. But I agree with what you say.
Yeah.
Completely.
Thank you. I don't know if Thomas wanted to add in, because he put a few comments in on the same thing.
Thomas, do you want to just chip in quickly before we do the breakout and networking?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm just attending.
Yeah.
There are seven comments, but I can't see them. But apparently.
Yes, yeah, no, absolutely. They're more us chatting actually with each other. So we're good for now, but we're going to go into breakout rooms. So you'll have a chance to speak to Nathalie then. And so yes, Tony, do you want to just take us through to the breakouts?
Yeah. Well, firstly, if we lose anyone, Nathalie, massive thank you to you, and we love you. Come back anytime, every time. We'd miss you if you weren't there. So come back, and we've got loads of things going on. And for the rest of the day, please come to the 6 o'clock XY Factor. What is it, Graham? What's it called?
The 6 o'clock, the XY Factor finals. It's the
finals. Come to that one and meet Catteray. That's really good. And we're going to now move into the breakouts. Graham's going to do his special thing. He's done it.
That's right. I've done it. I've done it already. So just accept your rooms and have a good chat with.
Have a good meet each other. See you in a minute.